here locally in the community. Make sure y'all go check out Kneecap Body by Jeremy Jones.
And welcome everyone to the NFC North and East Power Hours. I have a few guests with me. We have Beastrilla the Thriller, our Lions guy. We of course have my co-host and Giants guy, Von Doom, in the house. And we have beat writer from Giants Wire, USA Today, Tyler Henry with us. And of course, Michael Johnson, the Vikings fan. How's everybody doing
What-
tonight?
Ducky.
Doing well, doing well.
That being said, let's get right into it. I got my notes right here, so here we go. Daniel Jones. We're going to start with the Giants there because we got somebody here that can give us a little more detail than usual, other than just us reading off of a cue card I made up. So, the Giants. Daniel Jones has had an up and down camp. Some days he's looked in the same day. He's looked good and bad at the same time. Uh, for as many wow throws, he's had those throws just like J.J. McCarthy at University of Michigan, where you just go WTF. But that being said, has Drew Lock looked any better, Tyler?
I think you see a lot of the same from Locke. I think it's an interesting time because they could have kind of saved a lot of money and just went with DeVito. There were some interesting comments from DeVito today, just kind of saying that they could if they're going to cut me or put me on the practice squad, they're going to take a gamble on me. But when it comes to Drew Lock, I think it's been a lot of struggles. The same. I think there's been flashes where he's made a couple nice passes, but I don't think Drew Lock is really the headline here. There's not much to be made of that. I know that when he signed, there was some talk about maybe he'd have a chance to challenge and become the starter, but there's not really much to that.
That's what I thought I was reading into it because I didn't see anything about Drew Lock. That's why I asked you. And then the
Yeah.
other was Malik Nabors and Daniel Jones seems to be creating quite a rapport between the two of them, looking good at that connection in camp, which is what you want to hear out of a first round pick wide receiver and a, well, average quarterback, because that's what Daniel Jones is. And now that he's paid what he is, it's actually average QB money now. So it looks like you guys got ahead of it and didn't go into that 45, 46, and $50 million. So eh, while everybody else is blaming Daniel Jones' contract, we really need to go back to that year that Kyler Murray got his big deal. Then the Browns traded for Watson. That's what started this QB market soaring through the roof. I mean, you can't blame Patrick Mahomes because he had results that got what he deserved. But what do you think about all that? Do you agree with my assessment on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with. Oh, a little echo there. Sorry about that. I think it starts really with Saquon Barkley because once he got shown the door, the Giants really needed to replace him, and you just don't pay a running back that type of money. So they let him walk, and they use that money to allocate toward other positions. So it was really nice to see them address the offensive line, and then in the draft is when they went and they got Nabors, and he seems to be just the special player that they thought they were getting. So he turned 21 today. He made an amazing catch today. It's all training camp. Nothing matters until we hit the field in the regular season. But I mean, what you can see out of training camp, how could you not be happy with the way Malik Nabors has looked? I also just think it just makes the rest of the wide receiver room a lot better when you're relying on, Jalen Hyatt from last year, 3rd-round pick. He moves down in the depth chart, a lot less pressure on him. And, when you have a star running back, he doesn't really make the receivers that much better, where I think you're going to see that effect with Nabors, where he's just going to be a stud and everybody moves down the depth chart. And I think that Hyatt and definitely Wan'Dale Robinson are going to have, good seasons. I think the Giants are, we're still going to have to see. I think a lot of people think they're going to be, trash this year and back picking in a top 10 position and maybe looking for a quarterback. But, the roster, it's a lot better than it was 2 years ago when they kind of won some games that they shouldn't have and the ball bounced their way. So, that's why they play the game on Sundays, right?
I mean, you guys basically split with everybody but Washington that year, didn't you?
Won games we had no business winning, and then we couldn't get our quarterback, and look where we are today.
Yeah.
Hey, that is what it is. But that
you beat us in the playoffs.
Well, that's because you guys were the freaking biggest fraud of a freaking 11-0 team ever to start that year.
Whatever. At least we made it to the playoffs in this decade.
Yeah, you guys made Bernie Madoff look legit.
All right, we got Ricky Sakat in the chat. Do I smell a Sunday night stream? Let's go. What's up, Von Doom JB, and having a good weekend, fellas? Yes, I believe we all are having a good weekend.
Bryce, are you frozen, buddy?
I want to welcome Leonard's other guest tonight, Bryce. And who do you represent here?
I'm not sure if he's frozen or not, but he's a Cowboys fan.
He is frozen. He's T-Mobiling.
Yeah. He's another one of those people I know from Texas that freaking have that McDonald's internet.
Oh, do they? Is it the McDonald's?
Hey, it's cricket, bro. Get it right.
Internet from the 90s?
I'm going to put him in the background.
Super Bowls?
Go ahead and reboot Bryce into the stream. It should work. Log yourself out and back in. I've seen that happen lots of times. I just like being able to say the T-Mobiling thing because it's funny.
I just like being able to pick on people in Texas.
It feels great to pick on people in Texas because right now we're almost as hot with the humidity. But the O-line situation with Evan Neal being hurt, is there any timeline on when he's going to return, or are you guys going to be looking to pick somebody up probably?
Yeah, I think you look at, if you've watched, and it's a lot of watching clips on Twitter and stuff, but when you watch, you see the second unit really struggle. You see, and it's not just Evan Neal. John Michael Schmitz is also hurt, which is really hurting the way they look right now. And then on the other side, I mean, you also have to look at what they're going up against, and in practice, like this defensive line should be elite between Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, and that other guy, that 97 guy, who's pretty damn good in the middle. So, it's a work in progress with the offensive line, but they definitely have addressed it. They definitely still, this regime is going to live with that pick of Evan Neal. So it's going to be scrutinized until it gets right. And so I think they've tried to, they went out in free agency, and they tried to, solidify the offensive line and make his job easier. And if they have to move him, they will, possibly on the inside next to Andrew Thomas. So, I don't really know. We just have to wait and see with Evan Neal and hope and pray. I mean, that's where we're at in this mess with him.
Left guard is where he should have played his whole season, his whole career.
Definitely an argument to be made there.
Yep.
If you look at him in college, that was his best position out of any of them, was left guard.
And that was his sophomore year when he took over starting after the other guy graduated. And wasn't he a runner-up for the Remington for interior O-line trophy that year? O-lineman of the year in NCAA his sophomore year. And he never got close to that at tackle.
Yeah, it's just really it's interesting too, because we can all sit here and really pick them apart now because hindsight is 2020. But I'm telling you, when they drafted him, I mean, he just had such a high floor. I mean, he was not going to be a bust. But we know how the first round works, and it's all a crapshoot. And every single player is 50-50, and the Giants haven't really drafted great over the last several years, last 10 years. So we'll wait and see on Neal, but he's a big part of the future and definitely a big part of this season. So
Well,
we'll see.
I'm glad to hear, some optimism and then that little bit of pessimism that there is, because I understand it. You're talking to two guys here, and Brian and myself, that know what it's like to be languishing behind bad draft picks for many, many moons.
Yeah, but I mean, look at you guys now.
Yeah,
Finally starting to pay off.
yeah, Martha finally did the right thing, stepped down, handed it to her daughter, and she kept her promise to her mom. She literally waited till they were mathematically impossible of making the playoffs to fire Matt Patricia and Bob Quinn, or as I like to call them, Matt Patricia and Boob Quinn, because neither one of them were that good except Bob Quinn being able to pick offensive linemen. That's the only thing he seemed to get right. Because, Taylor Decker, Frank Ragnow, Graham Glasgow, those guys were pretty good. And Jonah Jackson was good enough that the Rams overpaid for somebody that's going to miss 5 or 6 games. So that being said, we pretty much covered the Giants pretty well. And what is your season expectation? Is it to get a top 10 pick, or do you think you're going to be more middle of the pack?
No, I do think they'll be middle of the pack. I think the defense is too good. I think, if Nabors is as good as he's, the college stats speak for itself. He's going to go and not win games by himself, but there's going to be a big effect to have him in the offense. And also, I think going back to the running back position, I think there is something to be said. I mean, listen, they're going to miss Saquon Barkley. They're going to miss the home run hitting, touchdown and every play threat. They are also not going to miss him missing 4 or 5 games every year. Anytime you talk to a Giants fan, they're going to talk about Eli Manning and how durable he was throughout his career. Singletary will be good for them. I think there's something to be said about that.
Yeah,
What do you think about Tyrone Tracy?
I don't know. I think a lot is gonna. I don't think he's gonna be the number 2 back. I think it's a wait and see type of thing. It's more of a project, but we got to hit the field and watch these guys get pro snaps before we really judge upon that, especially the later round picks. But I will tell you, I do like the tight end they got from Penn State. I think he's going to have some effect this year.
Well, welcome back, Bryce.
Hey, Tyler, I think you guys are going to be just fine. It's just like every NFL team that loses their star running back. It's just a next man up mentality. I thought the same thing when Adrian Peterson left and they cut him for Delvin Cook, and now Delvin Cook left and it was horrible last year with Alexander Madison. So I think you guys are going to be just fine, man. That the running back position isn't what it used to be, especially with all the RPOs, the pass first, looks that everybody's doing now with the excitement of the game, going deep down the field and, racking up big passing yards. So if you guys get a good running back who can block and fill that void and give you 70, 80 yards a game and, 6, 7 touchdowns a year, I think you guys will be just fine.
Yeah, I think it's a domino effect too, right? Like we talked about Daniel Jones, and no one's saying he's Mahomes, but I mean, there's also the guys defending him out there that, he hasn't had a line, he hasn't had the weapons, and listen, the line's been terrible. So if the line is better, again, 2 years ago, the ball just kind of bounced their way, and they found ways to win, and so it's going to be an adjustment, no doubt. They are going to adjust from a run first team to a pass first team, and we'll see where it goes. But I very much, and listen, fans are going to get caught up in Hard Knocks, and Saquon was so easy to root for, but at the end of the day, I think letting him go for that type of money was the right move. The Eagles may be a running back away, unfortunately, and we hate to see him go where he went, but
All right, I'm going to address
financially,
the
it's
chat
the right move.
I'm going to address the chat real quick, and then I'm going to get B. Strilla's opinion on the Giants real quick. We got Patty Grimes going, "Can you hear me now?" Because I was talking about the T-Mobiling thing. And then we got Yoli Cruz, who's one of the top fans from the Huddle Sports Network. She makes sure she says something on Facebook every time she's here. Hello, Yoli. James Burgess, long time no see, Patty. And, of course, per Oxford Dictionary, the Patriot Way, a great way to wreck a franchise unless you have Tom Brady.
Pretty much.
Sounds about right. All right, B, what do you think about everything Tyler's told us tonight about the Giants?
Well, being to the fact that now I have really been paying attention to offensive lines in the league, I think that's where the Giants are going to have the problems. Offensive line is not the greatest asset to their team right now, and if you got to get Daniel Jones out there, you got to get him all the help you can get him because he's not really that prolific, but he does have Nabors now, which will help him a whole bunch. And I think that the switch over from the run first offense to passing is right up NFL alley. So they need to do that to keep them competitive. I don't see them in the top 10 pick category either. I do see them in the middle of the pack. I don't think. I know we're going to hear from Bryce probably later on, but I think right now I don't see Dallas doing very good in that division either. I really think it's Philadelphia's to take. I think Washington will be a little bit better too. I think the teams the teams in that division are a lot better and a lot worse at the same time. I think the Giants and Washington are about on the same level. So I do see good things from Giants, though. I think they're going to up their game this year. I'm not saying they're going to win the division, but they're going to up their game. They're going to get a few more wins this year.
Von Doom hated it when we did our NFL prediction show. I came out and I literally said I see them somewhere between 5 and 8 wins. If everything goes off the rails, it'll be a 5-win team, and they'll be picking at the back end of the top 10. If it goes right, because the defense is keeping you in games and the offense is good enough to score some points, you guys should be a middle of the pack, just under 500 team. That's what I see right now. And the additions that you guys made this offseason, especially Brian Burns to the opposite Thibodeau, that was, to me, was the biggest boon because of who you lost out of the secondary. Even though he had one bad year his last year there, Adoree Jackson, losing him, that's a talent loss still because he had 3 years where he was a top 10 corner before he had his fall from grace. So I don't know if it was injury, lack of motivation because the team wasn't doing good, what it was with Adoree, but that's why he lost his job. And that happens all over the league. You get on a mediocre team or that you consider a bad team, and guys just check out in their contract year. We see it all the time.
Yeah, I think with the cornerback position, I think that's the one position that they still need to add, regardless of the injuries on the offensive line. I mean, they save some money because Darren Waller retired, and they have some money available for that. But I think everybody's kind of expecting them to find a late cornerback before the season starts to fill in for that CB2 role.
They signed a guy today, Brandon Bowden or something like that.
Yeah, I'm expecting something a little bit bigger.
I mean, trust me, the cornerback or secondary, pickings out there right now are very slim.
Sure.
It's horrible. Oh my
So
Lord.
what safety do you have that's replacing McKinney?
Well, they just drafted a guy, and they still have Justin Pinnock. So between Tyler Nubin and Justin Pinnock, those will be the guys in the back secondary. I think the safety position is a little less of a concern rather than the cornerback position. But their first round pick Deonte Banks last year had a really good season last year, and now he's they've talked about it a little bit. He and Nabors are going back and forth. They're battling and so it's been fun.
We did have a question about the O-line. How many positions did the New York Giants change at O-line? Didn't you guys pick up 2 new starters,
so,
signings, in the free agency acquisition, and one of them is hurt, right?
Yep. So they it's interesting because their second round pick last year, who I mentioned, John Michael Schmitz, is hurt right now. So they have been kind of filtering guys in at the center position, and one of them is John Runyon Jr., who of course his dad played for the Eagles. So they filter him into the center position, and then there is a guy out of Oakland who Jermaine Elmore. So they are they did pick up 2 guys who people expect to start, but I still think the offensive line is a work in progress and seeing where guys end up playing.
So they
but
did
I think the expectation, I'm sorry.
They did sign Van Roten, the guy out of Oakland.
Not yet.
No,
not
yet.
yet. I think they should at this point, because the one guy has right tackle experience, and you can move him out to replace Neal, and then insert him, a guy that has starting experience in the NFL, over bringing up a UDFA or a rookie.
Yeah, I think it all goes back to Neal. I mean, we just keep bringing him up.
I think
he needs to be better, and because I think they're going to stick with him until they can anymore.
Right. Well, I think this is kind of his make or break year. Isn't this Evan Neal's 4th year, because he was drafted in 2021?
Yep, and they didn't pick up his 5th year option.
This is year.
Okay. So curious to see how well Philly sells this season after the last season debacle. Yeah, this is true. I mean, poor Darius Slay. I mentioned it the other night, Friday. I was like, Darius Slay had to deal with Matt Patricia while he was here in Detroit, got traded to the Eagles to get away from him. Then they signed him to be the assistant defensive coordinator. Then they fire the defensive coordinator mid-season and make him the defensive coordinator. He had to deal with that guy twice. And we all see how that defense fell off at the end of the season when he took over. They went 1-7.
Mm-hmm. Vic Fangio, the new defensive coordinator out there, was talking today how nobody's being announced as a starter or top of the depth chart until they earn that, because of how bad they played last year.
It's one of my topics tonight. Thanks for getting ahead of yourself. But we're going to go on to the
I need to
Commanders.
read your topics.
I even send them to you so you'll know them. That's why I do.
I know.
I sent it to you before I sent it to Tyler.
He sent a darn book. That's what he sent.
Yeah.
I was busy.
But anyways, quarterback Jayden Daniels looks good as advertised. A couple of rookie mistakes, but nothing glaring, and could win the starting role as I expected. I think he should be the starter there because of who they got at backup is Marcus Mariota. We all saw how that worked out in Atlanta and how it worked out at the end of Oakland. It wasn't good. He hasn't been good since the sophomore year of his rookie contract at Tennessee. Wasn't
that when he got hurt at the end of the year?
Yeah, that was the one when he got hurt at the end of the year, and he hasn't been the same since. So
he's Cam Newton.
Yeah, he's a career backup. He is he's the Fitz tragic side of Fitz magic. That's what he is as a backup. So what do you guys think of I made my dude laugh on that one. I think Tyler chuckled too. But I mean seriously, there's very few backups where you look at it and you go, oof. But that's one of them. If you see Desmond Ridder, he's now backing up Kyler Murray. They better pray he stays healthy this year. What's the other one? Oh, Zach Wilson. Bo Nix better be great.
Bo Nix is going to be great. I told you, Bo is saving football in Denver.
Yeah. As soon as Denver gets the rest of their team.
No, dude, I really do have high hopes for Bo Nix. You look at everything he did in college, as much as I hate his whole career, every year, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, progressed better and better every single year. The guy's like 30 now. He can read an NFL defense.
Well, he was a year older than Hooker when Hooker came out in the draft. So he's 26, turning 27 already, coming into the NFL. So yeah, I get it. He's not quite Brandon Whedon, who was 28 the day he was drafted and turned 29 before the season started. Boy, that was another great pick by the Cleveland Browns in the first round, wasn't it? But anyway,
Yes.
Hey man,
Hey,
Cleveland's going to Cleveland.
I
Hey,
know.
there's nothing wrong with a fifth-year senior. Let him be.
I don't mind fifth-year seniors, but COVID made it into where there's sixth-year seniors. Is the
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
Hey,
Thank God.
COVID also cost the 49ers 3 first-round picks for Trey Lance.
Yeah, pretty much. And got back up.
Nobody in the world benefited from COVID more than Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Michael Penix is 35.
Whoa, man. Paul
No.
Jones, don't even go at my dude Penix. We'll fight. I'll come through the screen and slap the shit out of you.
Nix is a year younger than Bo Nix. He's the same age as Hendon Hooker. Get it right. But this is the last of the 6-year options for people. Thank God. That's over. There's no more of those guys left because everybody who played, that's what that counted. It was the ones that didn't play or they sat out or their teams had a shortened season or they were a red shirt. They're the ones that got the extra years. And they said that now that part of it's over. So we shouldn't see any more 26 and 27-year-old rookies coming out. Thank God. Unless they started college late because they went like into the military or something. That's a different story then. Because then they don't have the mileage of the playing in college on their legs. And Joel Davis says, hello, everyone. Hello. Hendon Hooker knows more tricks, though. Well, yeah, with
a name like Hooker, of course.
Say he's turning tricks, huh?
Got to give it to the franchises that keep taking those risks on QBs. Hey, we were one of them. Let's talk about it. You know, we went from Andre Ware to Rodney Peete to Scott Mitchell to Joey Harrington.
Joey Harrington. The good old days. I love Joey Harrington.
Oh, yeah, I know. Keep going. But Matt Stafford really wasn't that much of a risk. But, yeah, but
Dan, I ran out of the back of the end zone, Orlowski.
I was trying to keep it the draft pick ones until I had to fill a gap. And Scotty Mitchell was the gap filler. And
Scotty
he was
Mitchell
fine
was
his
scared.
first year here. Remember what he did? He may have threw a lot of picks, but he threw for a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns to Herman Moore, Johnny Morton, and Brett Perriman. You know, I mean, that's the only time in the NFL there's been 3 1,000-yard receivers on the same wide receiver corps.
Yeah, if you blitzed him, though, he would be in turtle form because that dude was for us being such a big fella that Mitchell was. He was scared as hell of the defensive line. They come in there. That one time they played Cincinnati, and they lost the game because he fumbled the football. I was like, dude, get rid of this guy. He's just scared.
Scott Mitchell, after that first year, I think he's the one that had the initial membership card to the Golden Corral that he handed down to Petrasha when he became a coach.
So I don't mind a quarterback throwing a ton of interceptions as long as they put up a ton of touchdowns and yards. Like with Eli, we knew we were getting 2 interceptions a game, but normally we're getting 2 to 3 touchdowns and like 250 to 300 yards. I was cool with that because I knew what I was getting. So I'll take the bad with the good.
But at the same time, let's get back into it. Rookie linebacker, day 3 pick, Jordan Magee has impressed Frankie Luvu enough for him to say that he reminds him of a Bobby Wagner-esque type of quarterback. Somebody who's instinctive, can play sideline to sideline. And I think it's crazy that a player would say that. He's not saying he is Bobby Wagner, but he has that style to his play.
Dude,
and that's pretty high praise for a rookie.
It's practice. Stop.
Exactly.
Stop.
Thank you.
Hey,
you're saying everything that we're thinking.
It's like overreaction Monday every day during training camp.
I mean, I guess you could say. I guess you can. To pump up somebody's confidence, I guess you would want to say that. But at the same time, don't. I mean, say that to the team. Say that to the guy. say that within the confines of your team. Don't bring that out nationally. People are going to be looking at you like, dude, they didn't play with pads yet. Come on, really?
I mean, go back to the same thing Norm said about Ryan Leaf. I mean, come on, man.
But at
Good.
the same
Right now, it's training camp. All we're really worrying about is who's getting hurt.
right.
Let's see how many more ACLs get blown out before week 1.
Oh,
Stop.
Sam Williams.
Hey, it
Sam
could be-
Williams today got carted out with an ACL injury for the
Yes,
Cowboys.
that's what I'm saying.
It could be the rest of your secondary. You keep jinxing people.
Wow,
Hey.
I'm just saying. My whole secondary's out, so I'm not trying to jinx nobody. I'm just saying it's a plague. I don't know. I don't know if it's a turf. I don't know what it is, but it's just been Achilles and ACLs for the last 4 years.
You took the MetLife Stadium's grass. That's what happened.
It's like Achilles is like Oprah giving away prizes. You get an Achilles. You get an Achilles.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, anyway, since we were talking about the NFC East a little bit here, I got a question for all of you. What is your opinion on Dak openly saying that sometimes a superstar has to go play for another team, and that look at where he might end up?
That he'd have been better off to keep his mouth shut and saying sometimes it's better to play as an audition for another team to get your money. If he'd have said it that way, it would have sounded better. To say he's a superstar, he's a regular season superstar. He's a playoff choke artist.
Well, again, I say the teams do that anyway. When they get into the playoffs, Dallas as a team folds. It's not just Dak.
Right.
Micah Parsons is on that same team, and he folds too. He misses tackles. He can't make a tackle to save his life. It's like where does all these players go during the playoffs for Dallas? They got the talent, and to me, that's attributed to coaching. And McCarthy is not the guy for them.
Parsons should have been a giant.
Neither is Zimmer.
Yeah,
Zimmer ain't going to make that defense any better than the guy they let go.
Yeah, the roster for Dallas is there
I
year after year.
absolutely attest
Yeah.
to that.
And Dak is not a bad quarterback. I believe him. If he goes to another team, he's going to raise that level of that other team.
Well,
I mean, but is he though? I mean, look at Russ. Russ was doing great in Seattle, and he goes to Denver and absolutely tanks. I think Dak should just stay where he's at and ride it out. Because if he goes somewhere, it's going to be the same all over again.
Russ was washed his last year in Seattle. Okay.
What's that?
This is the last year.
Russell Wilson was washed in Seattle. He was already trash his last year.
Yeah, he's proof that good coaching doesn't help an aging quarterback.
Well, I'm not saying Sean Payton's a great coach either, because
Sean Payton's not a bad coach.
But at the same time, or the coach that was before them, Nathaniel, right?
I ain't talking about him.
Bum. So Denver's just not a good team either. He just went from one bad situation to another bad situation. Hopefully, when he gets to Pittsburgh, his situation, will get better as far as that's concerned. I don't give up on people, especially a veteran quarterback like that. And he still has a pretty good arm, and he can run when he needs to run. So hopefully, with Pittsburgh, that'll reincarnate his career a little bit.
Yeah, well, he left practice too. He's hurt.
He just got a calf injury. That's no big deal.
I do got one more topic to finish.
Six weeks for a senior citizen.
And then we'll get to the Cowboys. Austin Ekeler says he's looking for a bounce-back season after his 2023 season with the Chargers, and he has impressed the team and coaches so far. What do you guys think about that?
It's Austin Ekeler. You know what you're going to get with him. He's going to carry the ball 200 to 300 times a year. If he's not hurt, he's going to give you 1,200 yards and like 8 touchdowns. The guy's a horse.
He can't get hurt. That's the point.
Put him
Well,
in
they
bubble
also
wrap.
have Brian Robinson Jr. too, so they got a capable backup just in case.
Players are independent contractors.
On to those. How about them boys? There's more questions than answers with CeeDee Lamb and the holdout situation. I'm watching this closely myself. We know he wants a bag. He wants that Justin Jefferson or more money. He wants to be the highest paid wide receiver. Oh, lo and behold, we got Ken. The Packers. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, not too bad.
We're just up to talking about the Cowboys.
I love talking about the Cowboys.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't
you
we
know,
all?
another team that lives in the past as much as the Packers do.
Oh,
Oh, shots
And-
fired.
already.
Man,
Shots
you'd
fired.
think the only thing that counted in the league was the past year and a half.
Yep, you're right. You're right. So 3 years when it comes to Lions versus Packers. But anyway, today, Cowboys' DeSam Williams was carted off the field with the leg injury. That's a linebacker, correct?
Defensive end.
Defensive end, yeah.
Defensive end. Okay.
DE, yeah.
I thought it literally was one of those off names when I read it because somebody put a
Mhm.
lowercase e in there. So
D.
And they
Sam Williams.
they came out and said Diggs is on the pup now.
Oh, really?
well,
Yeah, I just
And
read
this-
that before we came on.
And this is what I'm talking about with Dallas. When
Mhm.
it rains and pours, this
But-
is not going to be their year. I have not, and as annoying as their fan base is, I have not heard one fan say this is the year.
no, I've
No.
heard
So that tells you something.
Stephen A. Smith say they suggested it, but other than that, I haven't.
Yeah.
But
It has not been said. Oh, here, Dak. Since we talked about a defensive back there in Diggs. Darren Bland. So far this week.
my next subject. You're doing this all the time. I'm sitting here ready to talk about it, and I've been waiting to talk about it, but you guys went on.
He was segueing.
Cowboy Dak Prescott has been struggling mightily with standout CB2 of last year, Deron Bland, as he approaches double digits after first week of camp.
Mhm.
We're not, if it was a handful or less, you could say, oh, he had some good plays against Dak. Double digits in less than 7 days of practice?
Have you watched the clips? The dude was making like highlight freaking real catches on shit that he shouldn't catch. He is
Right.
special.
I know. Well, what do you think about it, B?
This is practice and training camp, man. I mean,
Well, the guy was
people
the
make such a big
interceptor
deal of
leader
everything
last
going. And then watch next week, Dak Prescott will throw 80 touchdowns. Then what? What is he going to do? Go to the Super Bowl then? I
No,
mean, come on.
He'll throw 80 touchdowns.
People are buying into too much stuff. Training camp is just a fucking wash. I'm sorry. But anyway, it's just a wash.
According to Cowboys fans, though, they are going to the Super Bowl. But I mean, right now, watching what Dak's doing, right now, Dallas is in midseason form. We'll just leave it at that.
I was to say they're in playoff form if he's throwing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, like I said, I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. I mean,
And
stuff
it's
happens
still-
in training camps.
Like B said, it's way too early to tell, man. We're 1 week in. Let's look after the second week of preseason and kind of look at how everything is, and first 2 weeks of the year give us kind of a pretty good idea.
Just
And
keep
they're,
everybody healthy.
Their
Yeah.
day 3 pick from last year, Jalen Tolbert, in his second year, is looking like the only wide receiver they got right now that can catch anything. Because CeeDee Lamb isn't there, and the other two guys, well, one gets covered like a blanket, and the other one, well, must have broke Trayvon Diggs' ankle.
Yeah. That's why anytime we talk about it on the morning show, I advocate for paying CD first out of all three of them. He is the most important one to me out of those three.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the three,
Especially with Carson saying that he would accept that tag every year.
right. He already said he'd accept the tag for the year because he knows they don't have a lot of money and he knows who they got to re-sign. And if they re-sign CD, they don't have the money to re-sign Dak
Mm-hmm.
because they still got to sign their draft picks.
Oh yeah, CD is going to be in that 30 to 35 million range.
Mm-hmm.
And other than that, we got the Eagles. And literally, Jalen Hurts tells everybody he's looking more prepared to return to 2022 season style of play, especially with this kind of a make or break year with the way his contract breaks down. Well, she expect him to stay.
I expect him to say that, holy shit, I'm so terrified of week 1 that I'm just going to call it in. We're going to forfeit now.
No,
That's what I want him to say.
That's what you want him to say, but you forget Kelsey did miss a game last year, and that backup center did help with the tush push in that game, which was 3 touchdowns on the ground for Jalen Hurts. So it's not going away.
I was hoping with Kelsey retiring that we'd be seeing less of the tush push.
I think you might see it more if anybody gets hurt in that wide receiver room.
No, not with Kelsey not being at center. That's not going to happen too much. I don't see that.
For Christ's sakes, that play is unstoppable. You could be 1st and 10 and push, tush for 5 yards and just keep doing it.
Yeah,
It is.
All that play is Kelsey and Jalen. That's it. To me, that's all it is.
And
It is unstoppable.
The only guy that they're talking about that might be cemented into a spot other than Darius Slay is Quinyon Mitchell. They're saying the way he's been showing out, it's looking like he's going to be the CB2 opposite Slay. James Bradbury already took a step back and transferred himself to safety, as he should, because he slowed down. He looked very lethargic last year. He was getting beat on double moves like a redheaded stepchild.
How come you didn't pause for a laugh there?
I love that, saying stuff like that. Caleb's favorite play is
he was playing pretty bad.
Yeah,
but we're not talking about his bedroom stuff with his girlfriend.
I was going to say, but he likes being the center in that exchange.
Yeah.
Likes to be the receiver.
Oh my God. Did you happen to see the post? I think it was in NFC North, the huddle, that it was, Jordan Love's going to beat the shit out of Caleb Williams. And he says, Jordan Love wouldn't hit a girl.
Yeah, they were saying, I want to see a fight between Jordan Love and Caleb Williams. Yeah. They said, Jordan Love wouldn't hit a woman. Tyler, I had the pleasure of being at the media room for the draft this year. So I was sitting in there when all 11 rookies gave their interviews. And these guys love it when I tell this story because Caleb Williams is up there. He may have been the first pick, but he was the 10th one to show up to the media room because of all the car wash stuff he had to do all the way up. And as he's getting up to leave, they said, "Hey, Caleb, can you give us a bear down?" He grabbed the mic, and all you could see is those pink fingernails wrapped around that black microphone. He goes, "Go Bears!"
I think that's the best story you've told in that, and that's the best version right there.
Yeah, that is.
That's the best
I
version.
immediately wrote down in my little notebook, LGBTQB1.
Yeah, I absolutely love that name for him, especially because it pisses off a certain person we know.
Yeah, the bad part is I was actually on a podcast watching, because I like watching other people's podcasts just to get information about other teams, because you hear more than you hear just out of the camp reports and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching some Arizona Cardinals guys, and they had 2 Bears fans. One loves Caleb, one doesn't. You know, it's split just like it is with every fan base. Somebody's going to love that rookie, and somebody's going to hate that rookie. And he goes, "Well, I personally wish we wouldn't have taken Caleb Williams with the first pick overall."
I know a lot of Bears fans, like there were plenty who like still believed in Justin Fields, and like the talent for Caleb Williams is there, right? I mean, like he was too good to pass up. But I mean, it comes back down to 31 teams in the NFL are split on whether they like their quarterback or not. There's only one quarterback in the NFL that everyone likes. That's Mahomes. I mean, even Josh Allen. Like, there's still Buffalo fans who don't like him.
That's Kermit Mahomes, by the way.
That's right. That's right.
And I've said it to Von Doom, and I'll say it to you, Tyler, because I said it as a joke. During the preseason, it was the first time I got to see Jalen Hyatt with his helmet off. I said, "Oh my God! I just found out if they gene splice Kermit the Frog and Patrick Mahomes together, what their kid would look like."
Dang.
Because you remember when Pat came out, he didn't have the neat hair he has now. It was all that wild, poofy. And Jalen Hyatt took his helmet off on the sidelines because he was celebrating that big catch in the preseason game just before they went to the commercial. And I was, holy crap. And for some reason, when it stilled just before it went to commercial, his lips were pursed, but smiling at the same time. So they looked bigger than usual. I was like, holy crap. If he'd have came out and go, "Howdy ho, neighbors."
Oh my God. That's like, I pray to God one time during Kirk Cousins' career, please give me an Oakley Dokley.
Oh yeah, he's Ned Flanders with chains.
Yeah.
But you know what is amazing about the whole Raiders thing that they did with the Kermit the Frog thing mentioned in Mahomes? That's the dumbest stuff the Raiders could have done. You play in a division with this team, you're going to get trounced each time you play them now.
They never.
With the Raiders' defensive line, I would not be shocked if they sneak one of them out.
Yeah, they ain't going to sneak one out of Kansas City.
Ain't happening.
That whole team stinks. There's
Mahomes-
players trying to leave that team.
Yeah, Mahomes is
One
going
guy
for
retired already.
481. You know,
One guy retired already.
Mahomes is going to go for 481 and 4. You know, the first game they play him.
Well, that was because the rumor broke out that Devontae Adams is getting traded. So Michael Gallup signed with them for a chance to be the wide receiver one for once in his life. And as soon as that was nixed in the bud because they can't afford to trade him, he was like, "Oh, it looks like I got to retire. He's going to be here a while." I just looked at the dead cap. This year and next year, they can't get rid of him.
The Raiders got a bunch of, well, not a bunch. They got a decent amount of pretty good players. That Brock Bowers is going to be absolutely outstanding.
So,
again, it depends on who's quarterbacking.
They supposedly
their offensive
really,
line is trash too. They ain't
yeah. Well, the offensive line is not great.
Yeah.
But AOC they apparently really love. But me personally, I'd be going. I always believe the quarterback.
You have a mediocre quarterback and then a bad offensive line. That's not a good mixture to start off the season with.
And a shitty defense.
Third projected third-round picked in the first round in 2021. That tells you all you need to know about the type of picks that Mark Davis and his wonderful GMs like to do.
Oh yeah, the Raiders definitely leave you scratching your head with some of their first-round picks.
Well, we made it through the news of the NFC East. I mean, Leonard already let the cat out of the bag about Vic Fangio. He's going to do a rotation of players until he figures out who's the best to start.
Mm-hmm.
Bill 3, no, he only, okay. Yep, I forgot. He was second highest until Trevor Lawrence was paid, then Jordan Love tied him, and Tua got paid, and he's making $0.3 million more than Goff, technically. That's the same amount of money. I'm sorry.
Trevor Lawrence, yeah.
Yep, within 3 weeks. But absolutely, if you look at it, with the way they did those contracts, Brad Holmes did pull the trigger and get those contracts done at the right time because everybody signed after him has been signed for more. Tell me,
still a bum.
Anybody think that Bradbury is better than Penei Sewell?
Not the same position. What the hell?
Do you
I'm
think
going to say they're both really good. So I couldn't say that he's better. The best I could give him is that they're on par. That would be the best I could do.
Yeah, they're both top 10 tackles.
Yeah.
But one is rated in the top 2, and he isn't number 2, and the other one is rated down by 10. Just saying.
Penei Sewell's the best left tackle. I'm sorry. That's all there is to that. Anyway, moving on.
Williams, I think, has something to say about that.
So since Ken
Who's
is
that? Oh,
So-
well, Williams needs to sign a contract and get out there and play first. I don't want to hear that either.
So Tyler, if you want to sit around and go through the NFC North news with us, you can. But if you don't want to, you can shout out yourself and where people can find you. And we appreciate your insight on the NFC North or East. I mean,
I'll stick around if that's okay.
are you having fun? You like this?
Yeah, let's do it.
I like the funny stuff. Jordan Love, after signing his 4-year, $220 million extension on Friday, returned to practice for the drills. He struggled early, needing to shake off the rust, but started to look better throughout as the drills progressed. So I am not throwing shade. I'm not doing any of that hate stuff because we had enough of that done on the show you're on, Ken.
I was going to say, you see what I listen to day in and day out when it comes to Jordan Love.
I am going to throw a little shade in another direction because I've mentioned it and you know I'm going to ask about it. Josh Jacobs, acquired this offseason, is struggling to gain anything against a new 4-man front coached by the new DC, Jeff Hanley. Was last year a fluke with him only having half the production as usual behind the same exact O-line as he had the year before when he got all the yards? Or is this the future norm with his play? It remains to be seen. That's the question. What do you think about that, Pete?
I don't think too much about it because it's still training camp, like I said. I mean, for Green Bay, it's a good and a bad thing. Okay, for Green Bay, that means their defense is playing stout in training camp, and they're stopping Josh Jacobs. But then again, they're stopping Josh Jacobs. So I mean, you can take the good with the bad. But again, it's training camp. So
this really was an 11 on 11 yesterday that he didn't gain a yard. They're in pads already.
Yep.
Yeah. I guess you know who's not getting stopped in training camp? Who? Aaron Jones.
Yeah, we haven't got to Minnesota yet. Stop.
Calm down, man.
You're trying to get ahead of the game here. But
I mean, what do everybody else was.
I want your serious opinion on it because you know what I'm saying. He had 1,622 yards the year he came back after injury behind that exact same O-line. And then last year he had 823 and only 6 touchdowns versus 12. That's half the production behind the exact same O-line. That's not a good look. Could it be the Adoree Jackson thing, like I said, where he just decided, hey, we're a bad team, I'm not going to try? Or is his play actually diminishing because he's getting up there in age?
I think he's diminishing.
How old is he?
They believe he's going to be 28 this year. He's 27, 30, 28.
27, 28? That's not bad. I think it's more of the team that he played on. I think once he saw that the Raiders were like crap anyway, I mean, it's not a good thing to say either for a player because once you have that mindset, that's not good when you transfer to another team here because another team should see that and say, well, if you're not playing just because the season's not going good, you're going to give up on the team. That's not a good thing to be doing. Right. But maybe this change of pace might be good for him, for Green Bay. You know, they have a pretty decent offensive line, so I mean, he might do pretty well.
So, what do you think about it, Ken? Are you leaning more towards he just gave up on Oakland, or are you leaning more that he might be declining?
Okay. Now, what I think a lot of it was last year was he had a holdout to start the year. They had already pissed him off by franchise tagging him, so he already wasn't the happiest. And then let's not forget who his head coach was in the beginning of the year. He didn't have AP out there that everybody loves. He had Josh freaking McDaniels that made Devontae Adams almost want to get the hell out of there. And Devontae absolutely loves the Raiders. So I think that played a major part in it. And to me, even if he is starting to diminish a little bit, I think going from their offensive line to running behind our offensive line is going to make up for whatever he happened to diminish a little bit. Now, for him getting stuffed in camp, we got to remember that Zach Tom is not out there in pads yet at all. He's still out on the sidelines. So you got the right tackle in there.
What's his injury in the timeline to come back? Have you heard anything on that?
He's already back off the PUP list, and he's starting to come back in slowly. So from what I've heard, it's going to be around family night in Green Bay is when he's going to be coming back. So after Saturday. And then I think his was a torn pec.
Oh, okay. So he is recovering from the torn pec he got in San Francisco, right?
Yep. And
I was
then
just sure what it was because I didn't know what it was. All I know is I saw the day before training camp, Zach Tom added to the PUP list. I was like, oh shit! And then I saw, what was it? Jenkins was on there, and then there was Donovan Jennings, the other backup O lineman.
Yeah, and then you also got Morgan in there, who's just starting to kind of get an idea of what he's doing, and
because they put him in guard, and because you guys had tackle.
Yes, he's in the guard. I'm saying you got him, brand new guy starting, and then your usual number two. So that's two guys already on the right side that are a weak link.
Right.
And hey, hopefully this is giving them some experience.
I want to address this. Moonscar Blade says, wasn't the Raiders QB played down last year? Yeah, but once they changed coaches and AOC was given the starting job over Jimmy Garoppolo, he was actually way improved over what Pornstar Jimmy was.
Yeah.
Can we please give him a different nickname? I like Aiden O'Connell, and every time I hear somebody give him that nickname, I just want to punch myself in the face for hearing it.
Yeah. you know, I got to agree with you there. The first time I heard it, I was like, what in the hell are you talking about?
Well, he was called AOC at Purdue, and the nickname stuck is why.
Yeah, but he's kind of good. He doesn't suck that much to get to the top, okay?
No, but now you made me think of that joke that the Fox broadcaster said the other day. Did you hear that one, Tyler? He goes, now that Biden stepped down, Kamala Harris is running for president, the original Hawk Tua girl. He actually said that on a national news broadcast.
And I'm glad you repeated the joke on your show and not mine.
Yep. Why not purpose? Because I have no filter. Besides, I mean, the actual girl has an action figure, right?
I always get a nice little sound bit from Fox, I'll tell you that much.
Oh, you guys did hear about that, right? The actual Hawk Tua girl has an action figure now, like a comic book superhero.
She's going to get her own reality TV show.
No,
man, I'm gonna have to start spending more time on TikTok than this show because I need my own action figure too.
And if you just got on a video that somebody was doing, you said you were going to spit on that thing, you might get an action figure.
Just got to come up with some freaky tagline. You'll be okay.
Yeah. I still like what the one guy's wife said. Why are you watching the video about the Hawk Tua girl? Aren't you happy with me with the glug, glug, glug?
Jesus Christ.
That's true. Monica Lewinsky was the original.
Yeah, there it is. Moonscar. He's on it.
No, I think Marilyn Monroe was the original.
Yeah.
Ooh, now you're going way back.
Hey, man, don't put that out there. That ain't right. She had class.
Yeah, okay.
The class
she had just enough class to be able to pay the president.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
that's
Anybody,
Asian.
Bend over.
hey, anybody who is a president deserves their own action figure too. So
I know that's right.
we're going to take a minute to play the Huddle Sports promo real quick to give homage because, they allow me to go live into Amazon Fire Stick and Roku. So here it goes, boys. We're going to take a little 1-minute break. Good time to go potty or anything.
Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
And now back to your regular scheduled programming. Oh, God, I always wanted to be able to say that. But we are up to the Bears. Caleb Williams struggled mightily on Friday, throwing back-to-back picks, one to safety Adrian Colbert and another to UDFA cornerback Reddy Stewart, acquired from Troy University. Struggling with a good vanilla defense once again in camp. And it's not been one day of this. We have heard this on about half the days of camp. Mood scar. I gotta put this one up on the screen. Oh, that's great. Oh, everybody needs to read this, including the people on Facebook. Oh, thanks for the potty bag, JB. I was holding on to a real growler. Needed to go. Bear down. Oh, my dad, Smoking Dad's in the building. He says, I don't have a filter either. I lived through all the administration since, like, working man always lost under Republic.
My 401k did.
Leonard, let's not go there. I don't want to go any more into politics than the jokes we've already made.
Okay. I really wish that was a joke, though.
Right.
Oh, so what do you guys think about that news in Caleb and the way he's been struggling? Is it just the normal rookie jitters, or is there something to it? Because when I say vanilla defense, that means that they got the one or two down linemen, they got the guys in coverage, and one linebacker to cover for a tight end. And they're either running man or zone. They don't do a specific scheme. It's very vanilla when you're in the 7-on-7s pajama Olympic training camp.
Jeremy, we've been talking about this for the last month and a half that he can't read defenses. It's showing.
Yeah, I know. Okay, B, what do you think about it?
Well, it's kind of, like I said, this is training camp. Stuff happens. The only thing that disturbs me about the whole situation is that UDFA is one that picked off a pass. Now, I would be okay if the starting corner did that, or even the cornerback too, or any of the starting defensive backs. But when you got a UDFA out there picking off passes, that's kind of disturbing. That means you're not focusing on where you're supposed to be throwing to, or throwing to a spot. You're just throwing the ball up there. I think he's trying too hard. That's what he's trying to do.
And Adrian Colbert is a 7th-round pick and the 5th safety on the roster.
My point.
Yeah, that's where I was getting at. That's why in my notes I actually put a question mark after him. I had to look him up to figure out where he was at on the depth chart. I was like, ooh, they got 3 safeties, they got strong safeties, and then they got 2 more safeties listed, and he was the first one. The other guy was a UDFA. Thank God it wasn't the UDFA, because then they would have been 2 UDFAs. But 7th round's pretty close.
But he was thrown in. He was thrown into the wind though, so you got to give him a little break.
He lives in. He plays for Chicago. He'll always be throwing into the wind. They're called the Windy City.
Tell him to stop throwing like a girl.
You got to stop doing this finish, you know.
Right.
Ken, what do you think about it?
Don't get him started.
He's got fuel for fire in the morning, don't you?
Yes, because I run a morning show with a Bears fan, and let me tell you, if he continues throwing all these interceptions, and if he doesn't break any of these Bear rookie records, a certain somebody is never going to hear the end of it from me, because we've been hearing all this offseason how great Caleb Williams is. He's the best prospect that's ever come out. We hear this shit almost every single year. You had Trevor Lawrence that was supposed to be this next super generational talent. He ain't looked that great.
Oh, James Burgess, this is a longer show. We'll be doing those sponsors after a bit. That being said, yeah, I know. That's why I made sure I put it in a topic in the main chat so you and Robert could see it. You know, I wanted the fuel for the fire, and also the Justin Fields one. Justin Fields is looking great right now in Pittsburgh. So I think there's a lot of guys that wanted to keep Justin Fields that are just got steam rolling out their ears right now.
That's the only reason they moved on from Fields is because Caleb is already at a higher spot than him, and his ceiling's just so much higher. If Caleb sucks and Fields comes out and lights this Steelers offense on fire, it's going to do nothing but prove what every Packers, Vikings, Lions fan have said over and over again.
It's really interesting too with sorry to jump in here, guys, but it's really interesting too with Caleb Williams, because he, you know, we've seen over the last couple of years, like the young quarterbacks have such a short leash before teams move on, unless you're, you know, a couple teams. Like you think back to like Josh Rosen and how quickly Arizona moved on from him. Caleb Williams is coming in with like the perfect situation. I mean, he's got the veteran wide receiver who is past his prime but still contributes. He's got the receiver in his prime who is a stud. And then he's got a top 3 wide receiver coming out of the draft as well. You know,
and 2 tight ends.
Two good tight ends as well. Yeah. I mean,
I'll be right back, guys.
Gerald Everett's on the pup list right now, so he's not out there on the field at this time. Cole Kmet is, but not Gerald Everett.
Sure. Even so, I mean, like, he's ready to go. I mean, this is...
I know. He has, other than O-line, he has everything that 3 quarterbacks that was taken in 2004 had around him. They've all got good running backs. They've got the wide receivers. They got the tight end. But O-line, you can't say the Bears have a great O-line. And I literally looked up the guy they signed to replace Cody Whitehair. He was only ranked 5 spots above him by PFF in the ranking. Oh, that's an improvement. But they didn't improve the guards. And they got the one tackle who looks great. And the other one is lazy eye Devin Jenkins, who can't often stay on the field. I swear he can see the quarterback and the defender at the same time. It should help him with blocking.
Sure. That
Why you gotta make fun of the tackle for, man? That's
you
wrong.
seen him in the interviews? I'm not joking. He's staring at the camera and the one eye's pointed dead right.
Major case of walleye.
It reminded me of when Bob Nelson did that joke about the guys lining up.
Well, at least you look at it like this though. At least if he's got that kind of vision, he can see a oncoming cornerback blitz.
While he's staring at the defensive end.
Yeah.
He can see him coming and going.
That's got to be so weird to have two types of massively different viewpoints. Can you imagine the input on the brain that's going to have?
It means he's got like 210 peripheral vision.
Right.
With an extra 50% on the one side.
He's like that guy from the water. He's like that guy from the Water Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. That's basically what I'm saying. He has that look to him.
Yeah.
He goes, Trilla's roasting. I had to go. But, the one good news is Jaquan Brisker was out there covering Tyler Scott, their fourth round pick that they took early, the wide receiver. And he was going across the back of the end zone, and Caleb threw the ball. Brisker assumed it was overthrown and heading out of bounds, and this guy leapt out of the gym and snatched it out of the air. And he, God, why his trouble got me? Sorry, I just saw the chat. Didn't see that coming. But he just snatches it, and Brisker goes, man, I thought it was going to be out of bounds. And then he tried to say that was because Caleb put it where only he could get it. He threw it so high, the guy had to leap every ounce of his being and stretch it in with his fingers like good.
That's why Brisker disappoints me too. See, that's the kind of play he does that. He does that in actual gameplay too. He'll give up on the play as a safety. I don't like that.
Right.
I think that's just a reason why their whole Jalen Johnson is their best player in the secondary right now.
Oh,
so,
100%. But if he wouldn't have dropped that pass just before he completed the pass to J-Mo in the end zone, it was game over in Detroit that day. Because Jalen Johnson pulled an Eli Apple, Jaquiski Tartt, Jesse Bates type of drop.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Jones said eyes like a pug dog. Oh, they're still going at it. Just got to line them up on the correct side. And Lions Rumble says, what's up, fellas? Von Doom, don't you have an Avengers movie coming out soon? Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, how they use an Iron Man for Von Doom, though?
Yeah,
it's awesome, and it's so easy the way they did it. Because they had that whole freaking Kang the Conqueror thing in Multiverse of Madness opened up different timelines. So it's easy to just put them in.
Yep.
Oh, Joelle's happy she finally got done with her double shift today. We were supposed to go out to the drive-in. She goes, I got to work a double tomorrow. That ain't.
What's a double?
A double. Your normal shift each day. How's that? 13.
There you go.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Double. She said normal freaking blue-collar Americans do every day. It ain't a double.
I like my blue-collar work that I do. Because that's why I can do this as often as I do all week. Look at what I'm doing.
It helps, yeah.
It does help, at 100%. Well, today was a day off for the Bears, so you know what you won't hear? You won't hear Caleb throwing an interception unless he's trying to hit the basket at home and his mom blocked. But anyway.
Ooh. Sorry. Since you just brought up football and moms, did you hear today about Cooper Beebe? His mother, on her freaking lunch breaks from work, will go outside, and she's receiving snaps from him as he practices being a center.
That's awesome.
That's a mom.
That's a
freaking mom right there,
that's
man.
A football mom. Sign her up for Mom of the Year.
That's right. Freaking
Still
mom.
wish we would have got Cooper Beebe.
The head coach, Kevin O'Connell, on their day off today, came out and said the QB Nick Mullins being reported as the QB2 is greatly exaggerated by the media. It is still an open competition where both he and first-round pick J.J. McCarthy has had up and down days, but no clear backup as of yet. Fans say, 100% it's going to be J.J., but it's still a competition according to the head coach is all I'm saying.
That's all that counts.
I was going to say, shit, I'd leave JJ as your third quarterback. Let him sit fully. That way you don't got to worry about it. If Sam Darnold gets knocked out, beat up, sucks completely so bad that you got to turn it over to somebody, that at least you're not throwing out the rookie and getting him ruined.
Dude, they're
That's
the
a great
same
point.
guy.
JJ's
Sam Darnold and JJ are the same guy.
I think all three of them are the same guy. To tell you the truth.
No. Think of it like this. Sam Darnold, one good year in college, first round pick, got thrown to the fire, should have stayed in college and shit. JJ McCarthy, one good year in college, first round pick, gonna get thrown to the fire, gonna be shit.
Yeah,
Same guy.
He's had several good years in
he's had
college.
2
JJ
good years in
McCarthy.
college.
He's going to have an upside, but it's not going to be an upside immediately. He's going to have to sit there and get tutored. That's all.
Yep. What do you think about it, Mike? This is your team.
I agree. I don't think he's going to be a QB3. I think he's going to be a QB2. Just from experience on what the Vikings do, he does need a mentor. I don't think they need to throw. I don't think they need to throw his ass to the wolves like everybody's anticipating. Everything on, NFC or the Skull North and Up North networks are saying get him in there. He's a number 10 pick. We need to see what he can do, but he needs to look and mentor behind an experienced veteran quarterback and learn and be able to read defenses a little bit better, make good precision passes. I mean, today he threw 2 picks, but he also completed 8 passes. So, I mean, he's a work in progress, and I think he is going to be a good quarterback in the future. But, I will agree that if we throw his ass to the wolves, he is going to be, mediocre at best. So I think he needs a little bit more NFL, experience, a little bit more tutelage and a little bit more training, and he will be what we expect him to be.
So Moonscar asked a question, and I'm going to answer it with the way I do with my jokes. Mike, please don't be offended. Does anyone think Sam Darnold can pull off a Baker Mayfield type of season, last year's Baker season? Well, number one, Dave Canales isn't there as the QB coach to mold him into a better quarterback, for one. And the other one, the only reason why Quezzy signed Sam Darnold is because he named the ghosts he sees on the field, Justin and Jordan. Now, if they line up right with the wide receivers, he'll have a great year.
I love this show.
But that being said, the last
I
bit
don't
of
know
news
about
out
you,
of
Jay.
Minnesota is offensive guard Dalton Risner is auditioning for right guard while he was one of the top left guards in the free agency pool. But they have a starting left guard. But he still needs time to see if this affects his formerly great play as he was as a left guard. What do you think about them moving him to right guard, Von Doom? Do you think he's going to make the transition smoothly, or is he going to struggle some?
Dude, he was a top left guard. I think he should just be able to transition. It's not that much different. If anything, it's less pressure on the right side.
See?
So yeah.
What do you think, Bistrilla?
I mean, I think he could do a Panay Sewell. You're going from left guard to right guard. There's not much of a difference in the protection. So I mean, if you can play, if he's outstanding at the left guard position and he moves over to right guard, I mean, it was the same thing for Panay. He started off as a left tackle, but we put him at right tackle. Look what he's doing. So I mean, he's a good offensive lineman. I don't think there's going to be any problems with that. I just don't see it.
Well, the differences with Sewell, and it was pointed out that his freshman year at Oregon and his high school years, he was a right tackle. He switched to left tackle at Oregon his last couple of years there. So, Tyler Henry, yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be it's definitely gonna be a transition. I mean, anytime they move positions on the offensive line, it's always, I'm just relating it back to, the Giants, and it's just every time they move positions, it's definitely a transition, and it's definitely a wait and see type of thing.
It's better to get it done early in training camp than do it later.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
Because one of the things that I know just from reading and doing as much scouting stuff as I do, so we can have a good draft show when I do it. When you go from left guard to right guard, is starting on you have to start on the opposite foot. You have to have the opposite hand be dominant because of where the angles of the guys are coming from. And that is where he may struggle with the transition at first. What do you think about it there, Ken?
Yeah. It theoretically sounds like it's going to be just an easy transition because he's a good player, so you assume it's from one guard to another, so it can't be that different for him. But we have seen guys that just don't look the same when they mirror the opposite side of the line. Like we had Jenkins over at right guard for a little while, and he was all right. But over at left guard, he's a freaking Pro Bowler and second team All Pro, something like that. So there, you got to give it a little bit and see. Don't try and play with it too much. Is my thing. Just like I don't want Green Bay to be dancing guys around on our line. Let it be how it was last year. Plug in Morgan at your right guard and just call it a day.
Right. Got it.
That chemistry for the line is the most important.
Well, you should know. You've seen what 11 of our games looked like with all 5 starters on the field. They were pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm. Oh, believe me, I know about how much a good offensive line can help boost your team.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was a time when it was you guys like that in the NFC North.
Mm-hmm.
And
We had freaking Josh Sitton and TJ Lane and all that shit with Bakhtiari.
When he was young and healthy.
Yeah. And Bulaga.
Yep. I remember Ryan Bulaga. But James Burgess says some guys can play anywhere on the O-line. Look at Bruce Matthews. And he's absolutely right. There has been those guys that can plug in anywhere. And there was a guy like that in the draft. That center out of Duke, Graham Barton, the one that the Bucs took. Wasn't that the Buccaneers that took him?
I think so.
I don't remember.
Yeah. That guy, he played every position on the O-line the 5 years he was in school. That's crazy.
Well, this like I said about the Michigan players that came out of the draft. All of the Michigan offensive linemen can play different positions on the offensive line. So whoever got an offensive lineman from Michigan is in good shape because they can play different positions. And this thing with switching from if they do it starting in training camp, I don't know what you were saying about the Packers switching him over there to the left guard or right guard. Was it left guard? You said.
Yeah, they were. This was years ago. Yeah. This was years ago when
Jenkins.
They did that with Jenkins. Yeah,
right. But then they did it. But then they do that during like in the middle of the season, though.
Right.
Wasn't like in the middle of the season, though.
Yes.
Yeah. Injury.
And then we did try starting him at right tackle in the beginning of the season, 2 seasons ago, I think it was.
And that wasn't good.
Yeah. When he filled in at left tackle, he actually did a hell of a lot better than right. Just him playing on the left side is his side.
Some people don't have that even body strength in both sides of their body, and that affects them a lot too. That's why they're better suited on one side of the line or the other, and that's what they're saying about that Christian Mahogany. The reason why he's only played right guard, and it's not that big of a deal, but his one leg is 1 inch shorter than the other, and his dominant hand is the opposite of what everybody's is because he's left-handed, so he makes a better right guard than he would a left guard.
Mm-hmm.
I got something to say on it.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
So Dalton Reisner has played the same position since he's came into the NFL. He's played the same position when he was in college. We got him from Denver to play guard. He held out. He didn't get a contract. They brought him back because he was the best option that we had at guard and everything in the draft and free agency. And now all of a sudden you're going to shuffle him. I think that's going to be a nightmare. I don't think he's going to adjust, like he should. And, our quarterback is going to get lit up even more than what we already possibly are. Take somebody from the practice squad, take somebody, from another position and mold them into that. It'd be like, taking a quarterback who's, your receivers are used to, receiving balls from a right-handed quarterback, and all of a sudden, right before, the season starts, you throw a left-handed quarterback in there. It's going to be way different. Yeah.
Yep. I get it. So now we're to mine and B's favorite team in the NFL, the one we follow day in, day out. We read every report we can. Lions came out, and it's basically been, as soon as he got on the field, which yesterday was the first time he could practice, Brian Branch returned the action yesterday, taking all but 2 snaps with the first team at strong safety. He played very well at nickelback last year, and the lack of depth in the CB room, which gave him a better opportunity to play because we did have depth at safety.
Meh.
You say, man, yeah, I know. Compared to what we had,
he's better than every other safety you have on that roster. You played him at corner.
We played him at corner because we didn't have anybody at corner. You know this.
I know.
But anyways, Bistrella, what do you think about that? That they're saying, Dan Campbell said, yeah, he pretty much locked it up today.
As far as safety, yeah. I mean, that's what I kept telling people. This is where they're going to put him at. But way before this even started happening. Oh no, he's going to be the nickel corner. No, he's not. He's going to be the safety. That's what they drafted him to be, a safety. He just played nickel because of the circumstances with the secondary last year. Now we have turnover. Everything's better with the secondary. He can play safety. Come on, people. 2 and 2 is 4. You know what I'm saying?
What is
it? Saying anymore.
What is that? Charles Barkley.
Let me say, these are Lions fans that were saying this. So
Yeah. Inside the NBA, when Charles Barkley said,
they
5 and 4 do not make 8. That's just terrible, man.
Terrible.
All right, what do you
think,
Mr. Johnson?
I mean, I have to agree with B. You guys, shuffled him just like we were just talking. You shuffled him last year because of circumstance. He is a safety, and he is gonna be for you guys a good, great safety. Don't these players that are coming out and you get into a vulnerable position, okay, we're going to have to shuffle you, then all of a sudden have a lackluster year because that's not their position. You put them back in their strong suit, and he's going to lock down the middle of that field for you guys, just like he did in college, just like why you drafted him.
Right.
Don't stop changing what people are good at doing. Just let them play their position, and you guys will have a strong secondary.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go to Ken first because he's heard people argue with me in the chat about this. And haven't I said this is what they were going to do even before he got healthy?
Oh, absolutely. And even when it was time for him to be drafted and we were looking at him, we were even looking at him as a safety and not really a slot corner. Granted, you had some people trying to be cute and, oh, well, because he's so athletic and all that, why have him just be a decent slot corner when he's going to be a hell of a safety?
I mean,
so,
proof is in his stats at Alabama. He looked like an all-pro at safety. He looked like a Pro Bowler at nickel at Alabama. That tells you all you needed to know. If he was doing that in college that way, you should expect the same type of thing in the pros. What do you think about that?
Who was that other safety from Alabama that was just like that and now the highest paid safety in football?
That Xavier McKinney?
Oh yeah, that guy. He was a bum.
Yeah.
Because he's not yours anymore.
That is exactly the reason I said that.
I absolutely love having Xavier McKinney. He
I
is going to make one hell of a tandem in that DB room with Alexander.
All right, Tyler, what do you think about that news about Brian Branch?
Yeah, I think you guys all hit on like great points. I am personally scarred from the Giants with a particular player who they switched positions pretty much every year, and that was Matthias Kiwanuka back in the kind of the
Oh,
heyday of Super Bowl
dude.
years, and it was let's switch from the linebacker, let's go back to defensive end, let's go back to linebacker, and from that, I quite honestly, just whatever move you're going to go with, stick with it and develop the guy wherever you want him to be. If you're going to make the switch, but it sounds like this guy, it was drafted for these purposes. So put him where he's best and stick with it. Now, obviously, like you guys said, like situation's going to dictate. If you need him to play nickel, he's going to have to play it. Especially with all the injuries that happen these days. So, yeah, I think you guys hit on all the good points.
Hey, Tyler, real quick for you. What do you think about this? Isaiah Simmons in position changes.
Oh, gosh.
Linebacker, safety, now practicing with the corners.
So I was going to bring this up. Actually, I think it's actually wild that he's playing corner, even a little bit in training camp. I think it's crazy. I think he's best suited to be a linebacker and just be a speed linebacker and just play all over the field. I think he would complement Okereke very well. But yeah, I think it's lunacy that he's playing as a cornerback.
Okay, I just didn't want to be the only one that felt that way.
I'm glad we agree.
Hey, B. I just seen that St. Brown has got moved to running back.
That guy will still be good. Watch.
He will still be.
He'll just be the best receiving running back in the league.
He's not Christian McCaffrey.
He'll be better
geez.
receiving
No,
running in the backfield.
Don't even try that.
I was going to say, do you really think he can take all those hits that you're going to get at running back?
Absolutely.
You wouldn't want him to.
Wait. Well, he did play with a torn oblique off the bone and hand and hoof mouth disease that made it so he blistered everywhere from his hands to his toes so bad that he had to put steel plates in his shoes. So that's what they called it. That's what they said, hand, foot, and mouth disease. That's what they called it on the show.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying he's not a tough bastard. I am not taking that away from him. To me, he does not have the frame to take all those hits that a running back takes.
I was being sarcastic just because we're jumping all over the place with these players. So
I was being specific.
Sorry.
Him carrying the ball out of the backfield, he would be the best receiving running back in the league.
Yeah, but then come on, every time you put on the field, well, it's not a run, guys.
Exactly.
JB, hell no. Nope. I don't want Amon back there. Nope.
I don't want him back there except on.
That's like when we tried to get cute and put Jayden Reed back there to play running back some of the times. Like, if there's a need, sure, throw him back there for one or two. Other than that, I want him up by the line of scrimmage where he's going to do the most damage. Don't you be playing none of that nonsense.
Right.
I love Jayden Reed. So underrated.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping he is going to go off this year.
That's the only reason why you like him, Bondo. He's from Michigan State, right?
So I hate Michigan State. I hate Michigan. I'm a Miami fan. Shit.
Oh, shit.
But anyways, DC Aaron Glenn in his presser says defensive snaps opposite defensive end Aiden Hutchinson and the D tackle DJ Reader fills is up for grabs for anybody, and they've been doing it by rotation. But the rotation has had a majority go to one person at defensive tackle with the first team reps. 70% of it has gone to second-year guy, third-round pick Broderick Martin. The other 30% has been a combination of Wingo, Levi Amuzariki, and Comiskey. But the fact that they're leaving, and I forgot, Damata Pico 10 snaps the other day.
Well, that
So-
tells
Why
you-
do they let
tells
Aaron
you who
Glenn
they're gonna
talk?
choose.
What's that?
Why do they even let Aaron Glenn talk?
Because he's the defensive coordinator and he likes to do it. But anyway,
That's what you call what he does?
Hey guys,
Sounds like you love him.
You gotta get
about
out of here,
it.
Mike.
We love
yeah,
Bailey.
I gotta go. At 4:30 comes real early in the morning. I appreciate you having me tonight. Thank you for a good time as always.
Yep.
Tyler, nice seeing you. Nice meeting you. I hope we get to see you again. We only have one Giants fan in here. It's good to have another one.
Love it.
Yeah, some
All right,
educated
take care.
people once in a while. It's nice.
But as far as the opposite side,
Good
Pascal.
night, guys.
Yep. Good night, Mike. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks
Have
for
a good
having
one,
me,
Mike.
guys. Yes, sir. Bye.
But as far as the defensive end position, it's been a combination of Matthew Betts, Josh Pascal. Davenport's not ready to take team events, still coming back off of his injury. He's there and he's working out with the strength and conditioning coaches to get back in shape. But it's been kind of like a round robin, and they've had good and bad things to say about everybody. When they said about Pascal, he's been solid. He hasn't been great, but he hasn't been bad. When they talked about Betts, he had one down day and he had 3 great days where they said it was like nothing could get past him and he was getting to the quarterback. And the one guy that everybody wants to put there, but after reading his scouting report, I want him to wait till he develops the skills to be there, and that's Wingo. Because Wingo, according to everything I read, he's 100% a defensive tackle with his skill set because he lacks that lateral agility needed to play defensive end. He also lacks the bigger hand pop needed for DN. He has an effective bull rush, which works fine against a guard, but an ultra athletic tackle will just put him to the ground. That is exactly what was read right out of his scouting report. So I like to follow those things, and I watched the film, and when he did play end and he didn't use that bull rush effectively, that exactly happened, especially in the Alabama game, where he took like 8 snaps and 4 of them he was on the ground. So when I saw it, for myself, I'm like going, yep, he's a defensive tackle. Because when he was a defensive tackle, he had 3 sacks in that game. So I really want this to be the year that AG gets the defense right. That's all I got to say about it. Something has to go right. We have way too much talent on this team.
You better get it right because he won't be here next year. Whether he gets a head coaching job or not, I'll boot his ass right out if he don't do good this year. He ain't got no excuse now. He's got he's got a pretty damn good defensive line and a revamped secondary. There's no excuses now.
Right. So what do you think about everything you just heard, Ken?
Oh, yeah. I think he's definitely going to be a bit on the hot seat because your guys' defenses have underperformed for the talent you have, just like our defenses have underperformed for the talent that we have. And as you see in Green Bay, it got somebody sent out of town real quick, and pretty much everybody and their grandmother hating the guy.
And
So
replaced when he left.
so he might be looking at that and not looking at any type of head coaching offer whatsoever. So he needs to be focused on actually doing his damn job that he's on the books for, and don't be looking at the next step yet.
But
But
just remember, everybody did love him when they beat Detroit, though. They loved the hell out of him when he beat Detroit.
When he beat Detroit, when we had Matt Patricia.
No, I'm talking about last year at Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah. One game, yeah.
I can't tell you how many people were like, Green Bay fans were just like, they were coddling over him. Yeah, he's great. He's awesome. He might do some good stuff. Like, dude, one game.
One game versus only 2 starters in the O-line.
Then he shit his pants in a Tampa Bay game.
And I'm not
Bay game when he whooped that ass. I was like, where's the defense at?
mm-hmm. And that game got it to where Matt LaFleur was then involved in the defensive room, and he was pretty much there to here's the play sheet. This is what you can call. call it.
Yeah, that's what DC had to do to Aaron Glenn last year a couple of times. After that debacle against, actually, I don't know if it was the Bears or the Packers, he started taking over the defensive call play duties. So it's just
yeah. At some point, you got to step in and stop the bleeding. Because you might like the guy and all that. He might be your best buddy on the face of the earth. But if he sucks at calling plays, he's got to go. Or if he sucks at teaching, he's got to go. He sucked at both.
Yep.
No, DC's not scared of firing people. He fired a defensive. Didn't he fire? Who was the guy that was before Aaron Glenn? Didn't he fire him?
Aaron Glenn
was like the
defensive coordinator all 3 years. He fired.
Who did he fire?
He fired Aubrey Pleasant, the defensive back coach, and then Brian Duker took over, and the defense improved a little bit in the secondary because that's when we went on our little run. Then last year, we fight after the season's over, and we improved by 1 spot statistically in the rankings. Woo! Yeah, hold me back. A Pro Bowl caliber defensive back that can't develop a secondary.
Oh, we said that for years.
Yeah,
that was Dre Bly. Didn't Dre Bly was a defensive coach then? He got canned.
But Brian
He
Duker
took the freaking blame for that. That is Aaron Glenn's fault.
Yeah,
well,
he took the blame.
I mean, at one point in the season, though, Aaron Glenn wasn't calling defense. It was DC that was calling defense.
Yeah, this past year, right after that Chicago debacle, when our defense looked like absolute garbage,
trash. Yeah.
Anthony Lynn wasn't fired midway through the season. He was just got calls taken away from him. Campbell took over calling. They got rid of him after the season.
Yeah, they sent him up to the booth.
Yep, because he said he would not fire somebody during the season.
Yep.
All right, but I'm going to end up popping my happy ass off. I want to thank you guys for having me on your show. It's always a pleasure to have you on mine, JB. Feel free to come in anytime. Give Ken some shit.
Oh, I do. I get some stuff too, but you know what? I do it in a way where nobody can really argue it because it's stats. You know, that's the big no. Anthony Lynn was not fired mid-season. He was sent up to the booth, and they gave the play calling duties to Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson that year. And lo and behold, the offense improved dramatically. We went from the 32nd offense in the league to top 10 those last 6 weeks. But the defense was still learning how to run a 3-4 under. And then, let's run under guys and then switch.
JB, you guys have a good night.
You too. Everyone like
that.
JB, though, that was also because Anthony Lynn had an offense designed for Tyrod Taylor, trying to run it with freaking giraffe running Jared Goff.
Yeah, this is true.
James Burgess, yes. Realistically, he was fired without being fired, though.
Right.
He was just told, go sit up there, watch the game, get your check, shut your mouth, and go home at the end of the season.
Right.
He's the best job in all of football. Do nothing, get paid.
Cash checks. Be a Matt Patricia.
He was a fullback.
Dude, you almost made me spit Mountain Dew all over the computer. Well, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Tyler Henry especially for coming in. You've been a trooper staying the whole show. I hope you had fun. As you know,
I did, for sure.
I do things a little differently. This isn't a newscast. This is a broadcast where we talk sports off the cuff. We're a little on the First Amendment free speech side, so you are more than welcome. If you have to let one free when you're frustrated, let it rip.
Yeah, I loved it. And I will also say, just, Giants and Lions have a joint practice coming up. So good little insight from you guys, some players to watch and such. So I'm excited for that. And, would love to be back on. And you can find my stuff at giantswire.com. And, thank you guys so much for having me on.
Well, if you want to come back on next weekend and just do a little preview of the game, and we can go over what we think the strength of each roster is right then, we could do that next week.
Yeah, I'll check the schedule and get back to you. I'd love to be on again.
Okay,
Birthday stream, let's go.
Yep.
There you go.
Birthday.
Giants fans unite, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. We do have a couple sponsors. Ken jumped out right on time because he doesn't have to see this except on his Roku TV at home. It's our favorite sponsor that doesn't pay me. It's FTP. What does it stand for, B?
Fornicate the Packers.
Oh, yeah. And then, of course, there's the sponsor that does pay us to do their ad, and that's Brandon Service right here in Flint, Michigan. Flint, where the water's crap, but the tires are good. Used tires starting at $40. New tires, call to get your quote, 810-233-8230. Talk to George, Red, or myself, because, yes, not only do they pay to sponsor me, they pay me to work there, too. You like that ad, huh?
That was phenomenal.
But as I always say at the end of every show, try every day to be a better person than you were the day before, because that's the only way you make the world a better place, unless you're talking to the rival fan base. Then it's fornicate them.